Scott McClellan takes to the airwaves, crushing the Bush White House on live TV as his bombshell book soars to #1. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Schuster. Today, former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan began his televised defense of his harsh and detailed criticism of the Bush White House, a book that is now #1 on Amazon.com.
Easy in terms of putting them down on paper. But they were very important to openly and forthrightly share with the American people, or share with the readers.
Coming up, a closer look at what drove Scott McClellan to write this book, including the time President Bush declassified information at the Vice President's request and left everybody else, including the directors of the CIA, State Department, and National Security Agency, in the dark. Meanwhile, the blogosphere is going wild over McClellan's charges that the media was too soft before the war, adding fuel to the fire, a statement by ABC's Charlie Gibson. What exactly did the ABC News anchor mean by this?
The questions.
The Republican clock continues counting the days since Barack Obama's last visit to Iraq, and now John McCain and Barack Obama are part of the food fight.
And Senator Obama has been to Iraq once. A little over 2 years ago, he went, and he has never seized the opportunity, except in a hearing, to meet with General Petraeus.
Yeah, that's just a typical sarcastic comment that doesn't have anything to do with the substance, and is patently untrue, since I just saw General Petraeus when he was testifying in Washington.
Meantime, concern grows in the Democratic Party about Hillary Clinton going all the way to the convention. There is some concern about the caption contest that will emerge in the wake of President Bush's appearance at the Air Force Academy yesterday, and more of our walk on the lighter side.
Hillary, you didn't win. Barack is the new class president.
I won. I challenge you to a debate. This is not over. What about the super telekids?
Well, we begin this hour with the impact of former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan, who is now hammering President Bush on nationwide television. The key issue that McClellan was instructed to lie about: the actions of White House officials involved in blowing the cover of a CIA agent.
And Scooter Libby, both, I asked them point blank, were you involved in this in any way? Both assured me in unequivocal terms, no, we were not involved in this. And Karl Rove even told the president, and the president and vice president directed me to go out there and also exonerate Scooter Libby on this.
Joining us from Fargo, North Dakota is Ed Schultz, host of the syndicated Ed Schultz radio show, and a good friend of mine, MSNBC. Ed, thanks for joining us. Hey, Ed, how is all of this playing, particularly with moderate Americans out where you live and work?
Well, you know, on the radio, David, we're having fun saying, you know, this is progressive talk radio finally in print. This is what this audience has been talking about across America for the last 4 years, all the missteps of this administration. The timing of it is not capturing the attention of liberals to the point where you would think that they would be just steaming mad about this. I mean, they understand that all of this has taken place in a sense that it's really not any new news. It's what we have thought all along. And now the anticipation is as to what is the Congress going to do with this. Now, I visited with Robert Wexler today, congressman from Florida. He wants to bring Scott McClellan in front of the House Judiciary Committee, put him under oath, and find out exactly what the truth is. Now, this is when it gets curious, but as far as new news, I think most progressives and liberals across the country have thought for a long time that, all of this has taken place. They're a bunch of crooks, and finally somebody on the inside wrote a book about it.
Yeah, and McClellan feels that his credibility got burned in the CIA leak case, but also over how the Bush administration handled classified intelligence. I want to play a soundbite for you and get your reaction on the other side. Watch.
The other defining moment was in early April 2006 when I learned that the president had secretly declassified the national intelligence estimate on Iraq for the vice president and Scooter Libby to anonymously disclose to reporters. And we had been out there talking about how seriously the president took the selective leaking of classified information. And here we were learning that the president had authorized the very same thing we had criticized.
McClellan is talking about a time when Vice President Cheney and his aide Scooter Libby were feeding selected information from the NIE to Judy Miller, and nobody involved in declassification decisions were involved. Your reaction?
Well, I think that there's a difference between being loyal and being used. And I think that his personal integrity, his professionalism was compromised. He was made and played for a fool. And I guess you could say that this book is a get-back. The serious note of it is that here we have a White House press secretary out in front of professional network media people and the country saying one thing when that simply wasn't the case.
And then before we run out of time,
there were some underhanded, pardon me?
I was going to say, I hear where you're going, but before we run out of time, I want to get to one other thing we played in our open. We kind of clipped the audio. Scott McClellan said that the media was soft on the White House before the war. Yesterday, ABC's Charlie Gibson said on the Today Show, it's not our job to debate, it is our job to ask the questions. This has created something of a firestorm on the blogosphere today. What's your reaction to what Charlie Gibson was saying?
Well, he sounds like a corporate reporter is what he does. But I will say this. The network reporters have got cover. We played a soundbite today of Senator Robert Byrd on the Senate floor about 5 weeks before the invasion, complaining about the fact that there were no dissenting voices in the Senate. There was no debate. The Senate was ominously silent. And I think that gives network reporters some cover, because if the Senate's not having a battle over this, and there's only 23 votes that were against it in October of 2002, pretty much the sense of the Senate was that the president was on point to go do what he was going to do. And I think that gives network reporters a little cover in that regard.
And I suppose if Congress is not willing to debate the White House before the war and is only willing to ask some questions, why should the media be expected to try to debate the White House at the same time? But in any case, Ed Schultz reporting for us from North Dakota. Ed, thanks very much. We appreciate it.